ask you this question regarding the recruiting numbers, because we had this conversation on a Notre Dame show. We had this conversation on an Ohio State show and maybe others, because there seems to be a distinction between the elite and then the next tier. There certainly is on the field, and it seems to show up in the recruiting rankings. So I'm trying to determine how significant it is and what it means. So I know the difference between having the third rated recruiting class in the country and the 11th rated recruiting class in the country. It's 8 spots. It's 3 versus 11. But what does that mean in regards to players? So I'm looking at these rosters, and I'm looking at, so in particular, like Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan. I think all of us would understand where they stand in college football right now. They're a second tier. Those teams are typically losing 2 and 3 games a year. They're going 9-3, 10-2. Mm-hmm. The difference between them and what we know to be the elite seem to be like the signing of like 3 to 4 players out of a class of 20 to 22.
Not even. I mean, for those teams, it'd probably be 1 to 3.
1 to 3 players is making the difference between competing for a national championship consistently, like the teams we know, versus losing like 3 games a year.
I mean, because those teams are all 50% or more ratio teams.
Sure.
So, I mean, 1 to 3 a year means 4 to 12 on your roster over a 4-year period. Or if you want to extend it to 5 with the 5th year, with a redshirt year, that's between 5 and 15 players on your roster. Now, an additional 5 players of that blue chip caliber is a big step. Now, pretend that, pretend it's Miami, who was at 52%, right? So 5 players out of 85, if 5 divided by 85 is 6% of the roster, right? So that would be an additional 6%. So that would take you from 52 to 58, right? But if you had 15, and that's an additional 18%, that now takes you from 52% to 70% blue chip. Those are Alabama numbers. You know what I mean? So it seems insurmountable. It seems like this massive thing, but over the course of time, it's really a couple of guys a year, every year, consistently. You know what I mean? And again, I used to apologize for it, but I don't apologize for it. This is what I was talking about in the recruiting rules with the rule of stack elite classes. You have to do that, have to do that, have to do that. And yeah, it could fluctuate, from year to year. But again, an additional 1 to 3 blue chip recruits a year will be between 6 and 18% difference over the course of a 5-year rolling window of eligibility. That can be massive.
Alabama's 2020 classes, 21 out of 25 are 4 and 5 stars.
Right, and they probably took a kicker and something like that.
Yeah,
and so that's 84% right there in that one class. And it's probably higher than that, because if you take a kicker, you're already punting that slot. So you're really talking 21 out of 24, which is 7/8, which is whatever that is. You know what I mean? Well, 1/8 is 12.5. So 7/8 is 87.5% right there, or out of 24, because we're already saying we're taking a kicker. So we don't care about the blue chip ratio for that, because kickers are really evaluated on a different scale anyway. And you really go by different ratings than the overall ratings, because overall ratings, sure, like a kicker is never going to be a 5-star. Like you're never going to have that because just of the scarcity of usage of that position. However, if you go to the specialized rankings from Corn Blue Kicking or I forget the name of the other one, but there's 2 major kicking services that rank players, and you go on the specialized rankings for those specialized positions, that 3-star could still be the best one in America. So, I mean, is it really a 3-star to get the best prospect at this specific engagement in America? But even if you're just going on the rankings, again, you remove that 21 out of 24, 87.5% of their incoming class were blue chip players. But again, if you're talking about 21 out of 24 versus if I just went on the prior example and saying, okay, we're going to go to 18 out of 24, that's easy math. That's 2/3. So you're seeing how those 3 guys took it from 67% to 87.5%.
Ohio State, 19 out of 24, and all 5 are from the state of Ohio that are 3 stars. So I think they're filling out the roster. And based on the conversations I have with the Ohio State beat writers, obviously they want to maintain relationships in Ohio and fill out the roster. And
yeah, and I mean that's the same thing that Miami does. Like you're gonna shoot for the stars, and then okay, like we're gonna take, this guy here if all things are gonna be equal. At a 3-star level. I mean, it's like a Mike Harley, who's had a decent career, but nobody's world beater. But all things being equal, I would rather take this speedy 3-star player from St. Thomas as opposed to going to anywhere else and getting one, because St. Thomas is right here. And St. Thomas is going to have a 4-star or a 5-star. And we're going to recruit there every single year. We're going to take Michael Irvin Jr. When he transferred in from Texas that year, we recruited him. We recruit Mike Harley. We recruit these other guys. And we might not get all of them. We recruited the Dumerville kid, Marcus Dumerville, and the Martinez kid both of them went to LSU. But our name is good at that school, because we are there year in and year out. We have multiple guys over the course of many years. You can get Jelani Hamilton. You can look at other guys that have been recruited and played at the University of Miami. Philip Dorsett, first-round draft pick. You can look at all these guys over the course of time. It's the same thing for all those schools.